Welcome back to the Everyday Stoic. Today's talk is with author Amy Morin, who is a best-selling author. She's an international speaker and a therapist. She is also the author of the great book, 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do, which is right here. So I hope you enjoy today's talk with Amy Morin. This project was made possible due to your support at theeverydaystoic.com. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy.
I'm Amy Morin, and I am a psychotherapist and international best-selling author of books on mental strength, the editor-in-chief of Very Well Mind, and the host of the Very Well Mind podcast.
How do you interpret Stoicism?
It's really about observing our feelings, about knowing that you can find meaning in suffering, about knowing that you don't have to judge the thoughts that you have, and just about acceptance. A lot of it has to do with just accepting life for what it is and figuring out our interpretations of those events that happen to us.
When was the first time you heard about Stoicism?
I first learned about Stoicism in college. I took a philosophy class and learned a little bit about it, but at the time, I don't know that it meant that much to me. It wasn't until after my books came out that a lot of people started to say to me, do you know much about Stoicism? Because they could see some similarities into what I talked about in terms of mental strength with the Stoicism philosophy.
What are your opinions on this quote? You can dance in the rain or sulk in the rain. It will rain regardless.
Our ability to interpret events is really up to us, and we can decide what are you going to do to it. So many things in life we don't have control over, they just happen to us. But we get to make the choice of how we respond to those things. And it's so freeing to realize, okay, I can't control all the things that go on, but I can control myself, how I choose to respond to it. And just making that simple shift in how I'm going to respond to something that happens to me, whether I turn it into something that's okay, whether I learn and grow from it, whether I accept it, versus thinking I'm going to dig in my heels and say this isn't fair. It's going to happen to you anyway, so you have the option in how you respond.
Do you see any similarities between your book and Stoicism?
I definitely see the links of why some of my readers who checked out 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do said this is similar to Stoicism. I talk a lot about what not to do, how to give up the unhealthy habits that keep us stuck in a place of suffering in life. And it's normal to go through pain. It's healthy to experience all sorts of emotions and to know that you can tolerate them. What's not healthy is when we exaggerate our misfortune, when we think we can't handle anymore, when we start to let ourselves get stuck in a really dark place. So it makes sense to me that people could see the correlation, because I talk a lot about if you just give up these certain unhealthy patterns of the way that you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave, you can live your best life no matter what life throws your way.
What are your thoughts on the quote, "Nothing happens to anybody which he is not fitted by nature to bear"?
We all have what we need to deal with tough situations in life, but often we underestimate that. I've done it in my own life. I hear from so many clients who will say things like, well, I couldn't possibly handle it if that happened. It might be losing their job or losing a loved one. But the truth is, sometimes we don't have a choice, and you don't really know until you go through it how capable and competent you really are. But we do tend to think, I can't bear certain things to happen, and it's that fear of something awful and our inability to deal with it that often makes us live a small life, because we end up living in fear rather than going out there and enjoying things to their fullest.
How do you get through tough times?
One of the best indicators of how you'll get through tough times in life is just taking a moment and thinking about another tough time that you went through in life. You've been through something tough before, I guarantee it. And even though the new situation you're going through might not be the exact same thing that you've been through before, you've been through tough things that I bet you thought, I can't possibly bear, I can't get through it. But just remembering how did you do it, what inner strength did you draw upon then, can help you get through whatever you're about to face right now.
So, what is your opinion on this quote?
So often we do become what we give our attention to. If you spend your entire life dreading certain things or complaining about negative people or thinking about awful things, that consumes your entire life. It affects the way that you feel. The worse you feel, the more you keep thinking about it, and the more you keep thinking about it, the worse you feel. It starts to affect your behavior. We get caught in these ruminative cycles sometimes that are hard to break. When you think of where do you really want to spend your time and your energy? Hopefully on the positive things, the good things, the things that you want to do in the future. and that you can learn how to stop dwelling on the past or replaying events and rehashing things that you can't change.
What is your opinion on this quote? It may be difficult at first, but all things are difficult at first.
It's true when people say that it may seem difficult at first, but all things are difficult at first. Because you've never done it before. It's supposed to be hard. But so often people will tell me, well, I tried that new thing and it just wasn't meant to be. I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur, or I'm not somebody who's smart enough to do that thing that I just tried. But the truth is that it's supposed to be hard, and that every hard thing you do is an opportunity to learn. But you have to be open to that mindset that you can learn, you can grow, that you're capable of understanding, and that our goal in life shouldn't be to just avoid hardship or difficulties, because there's a lot of suffering that comes with that. Instead, it's about putting yourself out there and knowing that when something's difficult, that yes, you might fail, but that you have the confidence that you can handle failure if it does happen.
Another quote I'd like to hear your thoughts on is, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you."
It's really important to know what your purpose in life is. What's the meaning in the things that you do? And we don't all need this grand purpose of I'm going to change the universe. And sometimes it might just be about my purpose in getting out of bed today. Maybe you think at first it's to make money, but why do you need to make money? To pay the bills. Why do you need to pay the bills? Maybe you want to raise children. Maybe you want to support your family. Maybe you want to have a place to live so that you can go out there and smile at people. Maybe you make somebody's world a little bit better. It's all about knowing what are you putting out into the world. And it's not about keeping score, saying I did 5 kind things, so I deserve 10 good things to come back my way, but it's just knowing that you have something that you can give, and those things that you can give to other people, that's not alone. You're not going to say, I'm going to give somebody three favors, but I deserve 3 favors back. But instead, it's knowing that you have gifts that you can give to the world, and getting out of bed every day is the reason to get up and to put those things out into the universe.
So, what is your advice to people that are going through tough times?
When we're going through hard things, sometimes our first reaction is to dig in our heels and think this isn't fair, I shouldn't have to deal with it. But really, you don't start processing it, or you don't start working on it until you accept it. And acceptance doesn't mean that you have to say that this is okay, that this happened to me, but instead it can just be accepting reality for what it is. This is where I am right now. So even minor things, if you're in a traffic jam, you might find yourself thinking this isn't fair, I shouldn't have to be stuck in traffic. Or you can just remind yourself there are millions of cars on the road every day, and sometimes traffic jams are bound to happen. Once you accept something like that, then you can figure out, how am I going to deal with it, and how do I move forward? And you don't always necessarily have to go through tough times and then think that you grew from it or you became a better person from something. You might come out of something and feel like you're scarred, and you might not even find that there's a bigger overall meaning, or to say everything happens for a reason. But instead you might think, I don't know what the reason is, but what can you do with that pain? How can you still make some sort of sense of it in your own life in terms of what you learned? Or did you somehow go through it and now you can help other people, or you can teach other people some of the lessons that you learned along the way?
What is the importance on journaling?
Journaling is super important in terms of learning about yourself, developing self-awareness. When you write something down, not only does it get it out of your head, but it gives you an opportunity to see it. And then when you see it, you can start to see some patterns. There's certain things that you do every week, certain feelings that you go through, certain habits, behaviors that you want to change. Almost all of us can start to see patterns pretty quickly that we might have never seen before. Once you see those patterns start to develop, you can then make decisions about what do you want to do about it. Do you want to continue that, or do you want to get unstuck? Are there other behaviors you want to take on? Do you want to change your emotional state? Do you want to think in a slightly different way? But you can develop a plan once you start to see those patterns.
So, do you think that Stoicism is for everyone?
So one of the things I've learned as a therapist and working with all groups of people is certainly that we all experience the same emotions. They might be different about different things. So somebody who's wealthy might be anxious about one thing, somebody who's struggling with poverty might be anxious about something else, but they still experience the same anxiety. So a lot of the philosophies from Stoicism, the exercises from my books about mental strength, anyone can use them, no matter what kind of problems you're dealing with, and it can help you get through everyday life, whether your problems have to do with work or at home. And it doesn't take a lot of time or energy or studying. You don't have to study for years. It sounds like it's intimidating, or that you have to go to a therapist to get everything out. But sometimes it's just a matter of saying, how do I learn these little skills and then start applying them to my life every day? And just those little changes you make can sometimes make a really big difference.
Where can people find you?
My website is Amy Morin, LCSW, is in licensedclinicalsocialworker.com, and on there there's information about the books that I've written, my podcast, and lots of other information about mental strength.
I hope you enjoyed today's talk with Amy Morin. Let me know what you learned from her. If you want to show her some support or see more of what she does, she's very active on Instagram, so you can head over there. The link will be in the description. Or I recommend this book. It's a very powerful book. So thank you for watching. If you want to support what I'm doing, then please consider becoming a YouTube member or subscribing, or heading over to my Instagram at The Everyday Stoic. There's almost 400,000 like-minded Stoics joining in this community, so that would be greatly appreciated. Or if you want to see more projects like this, and like the project, I recently went to the Shaolin Temple Europe, where I spoke with Master Shihenge. We was there for about a week, and we had to take all the camera equipment. We had a crew, full crew, to film this project. So it does take time, it takes money. This isn't my job. So I really appreciate the support over at www.theeverydaystoic.com, and hopefully you enjoy these t-shirts as much as I do. And I'd just like to say I'm updating the website. I've been working on a guide, and a self-help guide on anger. So I've actually been working on it for about 2 years now. I've been writing down this guide from A to B, or from B to Z, just a whole guide on the topic of anger and how to master your anger. So any question you have about anger, any problem you have on the topic of anger will be answered in this guide. It's from principles of Stoicism, but also principles I've learned throughout my life to deal with anger, to become, hopefully, a calmer person. And that's my mum. I hope you enjoy. That's my mum just looking through the door. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and stick around for the next video.